Call to order the beer board meeting for January 17th, 2012. We have quorum. Anyone care to make a motion on the minutes for September 21st, 2010?
I'll make the motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Before I accept that one, was that a typo? Shouldn't it have been September 2011?
No, actually, I was going back through minutes and noticed that we had never approved the September minutes from last year. So this is going back and doing that at this point. So
okay.
I think it's one of those we're waiting on a transcript and took an extra month or two or whatever, and
it got omitted.
And it got
2 or 3
forgotten. So
okay then. So we do have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have a motion for approval of December 20th, 2011 minutes?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right. Old business, motion to penalize, revoke, or suspend the beer permit for the Food Line Store number 1340 for selling beer to a person under the age of 21 located at 5185 Murfreesboro Road. Do we have the officer here who handled that? Please come to the podium and tell us what happened.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, on April 23rd, 2011, the Crime Suppression Unit, consisting of myself, FTO McGowan, Lieutenant Sloan, Detective Mullins, and ABC Agent Webb, conducted an undercover sting at Food Line at 5185 Murfreesboro Road. The confidential informant wore a wire with a camera, was sent into the establishment with the attempt to purchase beer. He was able to purchase a beer from a male later identified as Marshall Williams Jr. Mr. Williams was later convicted on August 15, 2011 in General Sessions Court of Rutherford County. And he purchased a can of Foster's beer during that investigation.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Officer Stats?
No, I do not.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have anyone here to represent the beer permit at the Food Line Store? If so, please come to the podium and state your name.
May it please the board, I'm Rob Wheeler, and I practice law in Goodlettsville, and I'm here on behalf of Food Lion. This is Leslie Dankowski, the store manager at Food Lion, and we'd just like to point out a few things to you if we can.
Miss Leslie, answer, because I'm not going to try and mess your last name up, the question for the board: that was alcoholic beverage sold to a minor as the officer described?
Yes, it was.
All right, thank you. Now, yes, sir, we'll entertain your comments.
And that's it. One of the main points you're going to make, he absolutely did. As a matter of fact, he, I think, was heard on tape as saying, to heck with it, and sold him, whoever this was, a beer. What we'd like to say is that happened on April the 23rd around noon. The store, as I'm told by Ms. Dankowski, was alerted to this employee's violation later that night, 8 or 9 o'clock or 7 or 8 at some point. That young man did not work on April the 24th. By April the 25th at 10 a.m., he was unemployed. There was no question about it as to what he did. There's also no question that this store does all it can to train its employees not to do this. They have, these employees have to sit through a computerized class, and this is part of what they see. We've printed out some of the pages, not all of them by any means. Never sell alcoholic beverages, tobacco products to any person under the age legally allowed. It couldn't be any clearer to these employees about what they're not supposed to do, and it couldn't be any clearer to them from this training as to what they are supposed to do. Anyone looking under the age of 40 Of course, that applies in some states. They have to show an ID. In Tennessee, you just have to show the ID, period. And this young man did not do that. It is a matter of having to stand over their shoulder, every cashier's shoulder, all the time, for the store to prevent that. They obviously cannot do that on every sale, to have someone standing over these people's shoulders. The point being obvious. The store did all they could to train that young man, and the expectations of him were extremely high not to do this. He says in his dismissal statement, "I am terribly sorry. I don't know why I did that." Well, neither does Food Lion, and thus, certainly before noon of the next day that he worked, they dismissed him. It's pursuant to the policies that they have, the training that they have, the action that they took, that we would ask you to consider that, to certainly not suspend their license, and we would ask that the fine be minimal, because Food Lion does all it can possibly do, other than stand there and monitor each individual sale. They are trained to key these things in to the birth date into the register. Yeah, and I know you hear this monthly, but for whatever reason, this boy did not do that. And he wasn't a boy; he was an adult, obviously. And pursuant to the actions that this store takes and did take, we would ask for your due consideration of that, and and plus the fact, it's my understanding, pursuant to questions to Mr. Richardson, they have never been in here before. And we would ask you to take all of that into consideration.
I appreciate the comments.
Thank you.
This time I'll make a motion that Food Lion has gone against the ordinance, and
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This board has in the past set a precedence for first offense due to the fact most of our establishments that sell alcohol are close to neighborhoods, as is Food Lions. Our first offense penalty is 14 days civil penalty, or $1,500, 14-day suspension with no sales, or the option of a civil penalty of $1,500. And I make that as a motion.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So at this point, you have 7 days to decide whether you'd like to pay the $1,500 civil penalty, which would have to be paid here during regular business hours, or take the 14 days of no sales. The no sales would not start until the end of the 7 days. If the civil penalty has not been paid at that time, it would be implemented that 14 days of no sales would start.
Okay. I'm authorized to inform the board that they will pay the penalty, and it'll be paid before noon tomorrow.
Okay.
That sounds fine.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
We just hope that this stops, any future sales like that.
They're doing all they can do.
I understand that.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we come in on the tail end. It's already gone through, as you know, 6 months of other court cases and what have you before it gets to us.
And one of of course, it's over now. One of the things the point that I wanted to make, they didn't wait for any criminal court trial.
Right.
He was gone.
Oh, yeah.
Most of them are.
Most of them are before they come to us.
The next day.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All
All right, next order of business is new business on premises beer permit application for La Cabana International, located at 5230 Murfreesboro Road. If Mr. Martinez is here, would please come to the podium. We need your name and address for the record.
Harry Martinez.
Okay, we'll try that one more time if we can get your name and address for the record.
This is Jared Martinez.
We need both names, Mr. Richardson,
Yes, please.
and if we can get yours as
Jose Martinez.
all right, thank you. All right, we know we had this one last month as an
That's correct.
off-premises. So it is now back before us as an on-premises for the restaurant only. You are aware with it being an on-premises that there can be no beer sales that are made that the consumption is not done on premises. They can't get a beer to go. You do realize that.
Dice, tú sabes que ellos no pueden llevar la cerveza de fuera, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows that.
Okay. Do we have any other questions for Mr. Martinez?
He does understand all the laws that are provided to him from the package of the city.
Tú sabes todo, ¿verdad?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the permit.
He said he read the other thing.
Okay.
I'll second that motion. So we have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
When can you come pick up his permit, his license?
The permit will need to be signed, so it'll be ready tomorrow
Tomorrow,
during
Oh.
regular business hours.
Probably on Thursday.
Oh, sorry.
It'll be ready.
Thursday? Okay, thank you. Appreciate
Someone
Thank
who's
you.
got to sign it, obviously not here. All right. Do we have any other business before this board this evening? No?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Sounds good to me. Meeting closed.